What is ICE? When was it developed, and then maybe you can lead into,
Yes.
how that's going to pertain into what's going to happen with these kids and why they can execute on removing these kids from the country.
So I forgot the year that ICE was created, but it hasn't been too long that it's been implemented as, as part of our government, agencies to protect our borders and also the nation, like within our nation. So it's basically the idea that agents, right? So it's like your normal Americans who decide to apply to be enforcement agents for immigration. And, they get the training that they need and it's like when you go to school or you go into becoming a police or um, I guess the army and things like that. You get that training that you need. The problem here is that their work or the way that they, I guess, do everything that they're supposed to do, it's really inhumane. So the tactics that they use. So basically, an ICE agent is in charge of removing, I don't like using illegal, but unauthorized, immigrants in the US or someone who has a deportation order. So in this case, everyone who falls within that category of only taking online classes because their university is only providing that, then they fall vulnerable to being removed. Because, and at the end of the day, when you think about it, ICE has all of their information because they're the ones who have all their contact info, what school they go to. If they work in the university, they also have all that information as well. So that's like the biggest risk factor because they do have that all that data available to them. So it's just a matter of how the capacity of them being able to do this, factually.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's really like you said, the language and the definitions and how we describe the people who are either here legally, illegally, unauthorized.
Mhm.
Um, all those terms and definitions are really important because I even think about like the war on drugs, and you think about, which is probably one of the main reasons why we have such a, if you want to call it, immigration problem on the border, in terms of like we don't have like a an okay pathway for people to enter and exit our country, that want to come here even if they just want to come here for work. And is that the case, or like, how would you describe,
Yeah, I
the
think you
immigration
did
system?
it right. I mean, our policies make it so hard to cross the border legally or with, a visa, even if it's a work visa. So what happens is that folks find other ways to do it because I think it goes back to that same concept you were sharing at the beginning with the animals. It's just a natural instinct to migrate, and it comes in our biology to want to do it. And I think when there's barriers or like the border wall that exists to prevent or to show you that you need to keep away, or it could also be read as a way to protect the nation. So it shows that there's a certain idea of crisis of allowing the other to come into our country. So, I mean, historically, in regards to Mexico, the visa process it's long. Some people have to wait more than 10 years to be even considered to get a visa to do it the right way. Because we always hear that this idea of like, why don't they just do it the right way? Go back and then apply and do it the right way. But some people can't even be considered to apply. So I think that's where the issue comes in, that it's super exclusive sometimes, that it's just not an existing idea anymore.
Um, why would they want to make it so exclusive? I'm gonna play dumb here.
Yeah, I know.
You play the question in terms of like, well, hey, why wouldn't they come in the right way? Why does it seem like it's so exclusive? Why is it so much harder for, you know,
A certain community, for example.
yeah, to be able
Yeah.
to get into our country
So
if
I'll
they're just
just
coming here
go.
for work and then exiting for work as well?
Yeah, so I would say that's one of the things that would encourage someone to come to the US, right? And it's been like our historical idea of why, just to come here and work and then, send money back to their families or home country and then eventually go back. But people love the US. They want to make a life here or they have kids here, so they want to stay here. So let's say they did have a family back in Mexico, in Guadalajara, for example, and they've made a life here in the US. They got used to life here, so now they bring their kids here and maybe like a newborn as well. And that's where you would find someone like a childhood arrival, like a DACA, student or DACA recipient. So that person grows up feeling like an American because, they learn everything. They go to school with us. They learn the language. Some of them speak better English than most of us that come back and forth, you know. And I think what ends up happening is that at the end of the day, we start noticing that immigration is only open to a certain type of community, which is usually white European folks. But then if you come from like, I guess, a community of color, poor, then you don't become the ideal or the one that we want in our, you know, to be a part of our country legally. So there's a lot of like race involved in this whole situation. And I think it creates moments like the caravan, you know, where folks have to just leave their countries from El Salvador, Guatemala, and then, you know, cross Mexico and then hopefully get to the border and then you don't know what's going to happen thereafter they arrive. So it's basically if you're brown and if you come from a poor country, then forget it. You know, it's harder for you.
I mean, is that just the reason though? Again, I'm going to be devil's advocate.
Yeah.
As much as I want to agree with you, it's like, yeah, is that just the case? I mean, people, again, you brought up the caravan, and like, I cannot stand, you know, I got people in Florida, even family members, just like, is it even safe there? The caravan's got, I'm like,
Yeah,
guys,
I know what you mean.
there, please stop watching Fox News. It's not actually news. Just 10 years ago, there was a caliphate coming from the Middle East with Obama leading it. It's the president. Like, you make no sense. These
No.
are no arguments
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
based in facts. And if you want to say there is a caravan, well, you know, ICE and the administration has caged. I don't know the exact numbers. I mean, last time I heard it was like 15,000. You know, kids that we've separated from their parents, and you know, or whether, you know, even to play devil's advocate again, like, okay, let's say these kids weren't with their parents and someone was just using them to enter and get in the country. We aren't sending these kids back. We're just keeping them locked up
We're
on the
losing
border.
them in the system. We don't know where they're at, which was initially what had happened too. So they take away your kids. They didn't do the right paperwork to see where your kid was going to be sent out to when separating. So just imagine you do this whole ordeal of migrating to, in Mexico, it's known as the cemetery of migrants because Mexico is not as friendly to the migrant community from, you know, their south border. So just imagine you don't know where your kid's at, you're due to deportation, but your kid is still stuck in the US or somewhere within these facilities or camps.